Hello everyone, it's me Pradan. Today I am going to read S3 32-34, Chapter 6. They climbed up to Thor's hammer to see the ship arrive. What is it? Asked little Alfred. It'll come on the tide, Hel told her. Come now, said Alfred. She and Olaf raced around in circles. Gudrun smiled at Hel. She doesn't understand, does she? Not really, agreed Hel. And he almost wished that he didn't understand what a very big thing was about to happen to them. The dumpy trading ship came around the bend in the fjord and sailed towards them over gleaming water. Distant sailors, tiny as ants, pulled down the great square sail and stuck oars out either side to row the ship ashore. The oars made the boat look like Odin's 8-legged horse. Thought Hel, that must be a good omen. Hel suddenly smiled, excited like Alfred after all. Come on, he grabbed Alfred's hand and began to hurry her down the steep slope. They loaded the ship with sheep, a goat, and chickens that Uncle Ivar had given them for their new home. There were barrels of water and beer, and tubs of barley and honey and dried peas. Mother's precious amber necklace and the drinking horn, rimmed with silver that father had brought from the east, were tied in a leather bag. Furs and blankets were bundled and bound. Tools and Hel's roof post were all carefully stowed aboard. Hel's mother settled with Alfred on a pile of furs. Time you went aboard to Hel, said Uncle Ivar. Hel glanced at Gudrun. She was crying. Hel looked away. He bent and picked up a pebble. Then he called Olaf, and together they stepped up the plank and into the ship. It swayed gently in the lapping water. There were shouts and pushing, and suddenly Hel was adrift from the land that had always been his home. The sailors shouted orders and tugged on ropes to raise the sail, flapping and filling with wind. As the ship sailed away down the fjord, Hel watched his home shrinking. The captain of the ship called over to Hel. Come up here, lad, if you want a good view. So Hel clambered over to join the captain on the afterdeck, where he stood with one hand on the tiller of the steering oar. Behind were the steep sides of the fjord. Ahead lay the endless, empty, glittering sea. How far to England? Asked Hal. Good 3 days' travel, said the captain. Somewhere over that horizon. Hal breathed in the salty, windy air and closed his eyes and prayed that they would all get there safely. Chapter 7. Darkness came and people and animals slept. But the sea didn't sleep, and neither did Hal. The lurching boat made him feel ill. He held warm Olaf and stroked the dog's soft ears. The storm came on dark clouds, whistling through the ringing and slapping angry great waves against the wooden sides of the ship and spitting spray in Hal's face. Hal took the pebble from his pouch and turned it over and over in his fingers. The pebble was the only bit of land he had now. Dawn lightened the sky a little, but the wind blew stronger, and the boat heaved and creaked. The sailors pulled down the great wet sail and tried to steer the ship into the waves. Cold, hard rain blew at them. Hal's mother put one arm around Alfred and one around Hal. But a sudden shout from the captain made them all look up to see a great wave gathering itself up, and then down it came to try to drown them all. No, shrieked Hal's mother, and she grabbed for her daughter. But the water snatched Ephron and threw her into the sea. No, Ephron shouted. Hal. He reached out to grab Ephron's red cloak while his mother tried desperately to hold on to him, to keep him safe with her. But the ship tipped and Hal slipped. Suddenly he was alone in cold water that rolled him and roared and gagged his mouth when he gasped. Hal thrashed his arms and legs and didn't know which way was up or down. Then he saw something red, and he took hold of it and pulled the solid little body of Ephron to him. But it needed air, or they would both be trapped with Goddess, ran forever. Suddenly, Hal heard a sharp yelping sound and knew that Olaf was calling to him from the boat. He kicked and saw light and came bustling into air for just long enough to gasp a breath before water slapped in his face again. There were shouts, and Ephron was lifted from Hal's arms. He could swim again now, but the side of the ship was like a great moving wall in front of him, and he had no strength left and no way to climb it. He knew that those who fell overboard were nearly always lost. Hal was sinking into numb exhaustion when the sound of Olaf's sharp yap deepening into proper bark came into his brain. Then something hard hit Hal on the shoulder, and he reached out and took firm hold of something wooden. He was lifted from the sea. Hal lay within the ship and coughed up seawater. He shook with shock and cold. Olaf's hot tongue licked his face as they wrapped him in a fur and rubbed his feet. Ephron asked Hal. Safe beside you, his mother told him as she stroked wet hair from his eyes. You saved her, Hal. They are both safe. Ran has been good to us. They sacrificed the goat and gave it to Ran in thanks for the lives spared. And the goddess was pleased. The sky lightened and the wind blew less wildly. The sailors raised the great sail again. Hal told Olaf, I heard you barking. You helped to save me. Grandfather would be proud of you. So would Gudrun. I'll carve it all on the roof post. It was your roof post that the sailors used to fish you from the sea. Hal's mother told him. Hal looked at the carved post and saw something new. What's that there? He asked. I didn't carve that. He pointed to a small figure that had been cut into the wood. The figure had a triangle of tunic with feet below it. It's a girl, said Hal. The girl had a crisscross line running from her head down her left shoulder. It's Gudrun. Hal scowled. She spoiled it. No, she hasn't, said his mother. She just wanted it to be part of your saga. She did say that she wanted to come too. Hal touched the little figure of Gudrun. Maybe she really will come one day, maybe, said his mother. Chapter 8. The memory of nearly drowning stayed with Hal, and he used that memory to carve the story on his roof post over the next 2 days. Then at last, land was sighted. Olaf lifted his head and seemed to sniff, and he had something new in the air, and his stumpy tail wagged. As they got closer, the land grew to fill the whole of the horizon. It was a strange land, flat and green. Hal told Ephron, that's our new home. He squeezed her small, grubby hand tight. It felt to Hal at first as if the new land wasn't a solid kind of land at all. When he waded through the shallow sea onto the beach, the land seemed to sway under him. The sailors laughed. Don't worry, they told him. You'll soon get your land legs back. There were people on the beach watching as the animals and goods were brought off the ship. They spoke and laughed words that he didn't understand, and they were dressed strangely. But it is me who is the stranger, thought Hal with a shout. He suddenly felt lost, but Olaf ran joyfully towards a group of boys who had a big dog with them. Olaf crouched low and let the big dog sniff him. Both their tails wagged. In moments, they were bounding off over the beach together. He's making New friends really that easy? Wondered Hal. He looked at the boys. Two of them seemed wary, but the younger one grinned back. Hal, called his mother, come and meet cousin Inga. She's come to meet us and take us to her home. The sons will help carry out things. That great roof post of yours will be a test of strength. But 4 boys should manage it. So the boys were from Hal's own family. Hal reached into his pouch for the pebble that he had carried from home. He threw it into the mass of pebbles on the beach. The pebble from home was instantly lost in the mass of rounded stone, all similar but each of them different. The youngest boy, cousin, beckoned with his land. You didn't always need words in order to understand what somebody means. I'm coming, smiled Hal, and he ran to join them in lifting his loop post and carrying it up onto the new land. The end.